it's so good to see so many of you out here today for this very, very, very important celebration and commemoration. My name's Jaak Rockfeldt. I'm the chairman of the Connecticut Estonian Society. And again, it's my pleasure to welcome you and to thank all of you for coming here to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Baltic Way. As you know, during which 2 million people stood hand in hand from Tallinn, Estonia, through Riga, Latvia, all the way to Vilnius, Lithuania. This was, at the time, and it still is, historically the largest peaceful demonstration that dramatically and emphatically showed to the world the Baltic people's pent-up demand for freedom. For a moment, I'd like to engage you in something that Einstein used to like to do, and he called it Gedankenexperiment, a thought experiment. I welcome you all here now to create an image in your mind's eye of us right here at this point, starting a human chain, standing hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, up to Massachusetts, along the Mass Pike, into New York State, along the State Thruway, past Albany, Utica, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, and finally ending in Niagara Falls. I'm guessing that most of you have been to the falls, and perhaps you recall the long ride from here to there. Now imagine this unbroken chain of people. That is roughly what the length of the Baltic Way chain was back 30 years ago today. So we celebrate this historic event, and it's a joyous occasion as we stand here next to our soon-to-be ceremoniously replanted weeping cherry tree, the Baltic Freedom Tree. It was planted here in this very same spot on August 23rd, 1991 by the Estonian Latvian Lithuanian Alliance, ELLA, of Connecticut. The tree symbolizes our joy with its aesthetic beauty, its soon-to-be beautiful blossoms, and its someday to have delicious fruit. But the weeping tree also symbolizes our sadness as we stand in solemn remembrance of the 80th anniversary of the Nazi-Soviet Pact, which, as you know, ignited World War II and which condemned the Baltic people to brutal Nazi and Soviet occupations, and to a half-century of Soviet annexation. And thus, the weeping cherry tree weeps, as we have wept for the millions of victims of the Nazis and of the Soviets. The original Freedom Tree recently died and was cut down. Our ceremonial replanting of this tree is a powerful reminder of, and a metaphor for, a constant, relentless need to replant, replenish, and to nourish, and to cultivate freedom and democracy with its basic human rights and civil liberties. Sadly, it's clear that these very values are currently being aggressively attacked by Putin's Russia, the successor state of the Soviet Union. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania stand at the eastern frontier of the free world and on the eastern edge of the European Union and of NATO. And thus, the Baltic states are a bulwark against Russian aggression, which takes many forms, including cyber attacks, promulgating a false historical narrative, online and social media misinformation, disinformation, as well as other democracy destabilizing activities against the Western world, and including even our own United States. And so, not only do we commemorate these important historical events, but we also stand as a united front for freedom and democracy in the face of hostile Russian aggression. But most significantly, our purpose today is to gather along with Balts from across the country who have also gathered at precisely this moment, this same time, to commemorate, to celebrate, to reenact the Baltic Way on its 30th anniversary. And as we know, this Baltic Way demonstration led to our having regained freedom and our having reinstated, replanted, as it were, our freedom and democracy in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce the master or mistress of ceremonies, Ilona Vashnis.
This is a celebration. It's of an extraordinary event in Europe in 1989. It is now in the UNESCO Memory of the World, Memory of the World Register. The Baltic Way celebrations are taking place now at 1 o'clock in Washington, D.C. Many other countries, many other cities and towns in Canada, throughout Europe, in Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia proper. We here are a link in the chain that goes around the world. The Baltic Way was a never before seen phenomenon of 2 million people standing shoulder to shoulder through 3 countries. But what is interesting, I don't know whether you've seen the news today, but Hong Kong has decided to do a Baltic Way. So in Hong Kong, they said it worked for the Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians. Maybe it'll work for us. They're standing now in the Baltic Way in Hong Kong. So this is not a only historical commemoration. We are as current as today's news. Now, when the people in the Baltic Way were standing shoulder to shoulder, they were Soviet citizens. They had no choice, but of course. The Soviet regime could penalize them for participating in this demonstration. Some of the people came in, like you did, with Estonian, Latvian, and Lithuanian flags from the independent nations. which was also forbidden to do in the Soviet Union. They honestly, they could have been, some professionals could have been demoted, people could have been penalized in various ways, but they stood there anyway. They stood there on August 23rd for truth, that they did not ask to be part of the Soviet Union. They were standing there for their independence of their countries again, and they wanted the world to know. And so they wanted, why did they stand there exactly on the 23rd of August and in 1989? Because it was an anniversary. It was the 50th anniversary of a secret pact between Hitler and Stalin. In history books, it's known as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, because those were the foreign ministers who signed it. But it was a secret non-aggression pact where Hitler and Stalin decided, okay, you can take these countries, I'll take these countries, and we won't interfere with what we want to do. And Stalin got Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. And the Soviet Union occupied Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and annexed them. And they told the world that the three countries asked to be part of the Soviet Union. And actually, this secret pact was the beginning of the killing fields in Europe. Now, for a lot of this 50 years, nobody knew about the secret pact or how it all began. But then word got out to the Balts in Canada. They found out about the secret pact, and they started having demonstrations on the 23rd of August every year. They called it Black Ribbon Day. The black ribbon is worn in Europe as a sign of mourning. Well, it was Black Ribbon Day. Soon in the US, Baltic Americans started also having demonstrations for Black Ribbon Day. And it was at one of these demonstrations in 1989 in Connecticut. A number of you maybe were at that demonstration. It was at the state capitol. It was on the stairs, on the steps, on the park side. So we had this big demonstration, and I was the MC, and I'm looking at all of those posters and signs, and there's one sign that I can't make out at all. Very strange. After a while I realized that it's Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, that it is the maps. But I can't understand what is that line going through them. Because we didn't know about the Baltic Way then. We just started learning about it that day, and then it came to me. That is the Baltic Way. So we have asked somebody here to recreate that poster in a very artistic way, and that is Rockfeld, Christian Rockfeld. Would you please show us that poster, recreated? Turn it around so everybody can see it. So, around the other way too. And you can put it on the easel. And now, as you see, people who don't know about this, they say, oh, isn't this nice and colorful? No, it is not only nice and colorful. It is, if you look at the top, that is Estonia is in the colors of its independent flag. Please show us the independent flag. There it is. It is that flag of Estonia, which in the Soviet Union was not allowed to be shown. And next to it is Latvia, the flag of Latvia. Here's the flag of Latvia. And at the bottom is the flag of Lithuania. And if you see, there is something that is going from the capital of Lithuania below, that's Vilnius, going up to Riga, and then ending up at the very top part, and that is Tallinn. Thank you, and I think, Jack, you'll just have to stand there and hold this, I think. And as I mentioned to you, at that time, those flags were forbidden because the flags of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania was a red flag with a hammer and sickle. And this is, so on the 50th anniversary of that horrible Hitler-Nazi pact, the people of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia were standing on the highway, 2 million strong. And if you convert it to Americans today, that would be like 90 million Americans standing on I-95. I have no idea how many miles that would be, and they were standing. I mean, it really is exceptional. It is people getting there. They would drive up to where the line ended, park their car on the highway, and stand there next to the other person. We have two people with us who were part of that Baltic Way. They were witnesses to that history. And I would like them to come up here in front of that tree. But it's okay tonight. And in Lithuania, on that day, in Lithuania, a little plane was buzzing around, and it was throwing gladiolas on the people below. And everybody looked up, sort of thrilled that it was raining gladiolas. And we wanted to find gladiolas today. We couldn't find them, so we will give you these two witnesses to history. Oh, one more. Yeah. Wonderful. We have 3 witnesses to history. Wonderful. And what the people did then, we will do now, except that they joined hands, one with the next, and sort of they made a long line. We will now, all of you, just hold hands with the person next to you, just next to you. Hold hands to the person next to you. And when that was on the so here we are, our own Baltic Way, and at the dot of 7 that night, that evening, they raised their hands. So let us raise there, and let's hold it up there as the camera pans around us, holding hands. This is what they did. Except there were 2 million of them. 2 million of them. Thank you. And yes. And we will sing the song which was written about that event. It's called Lietuva, Latvia, Estia. And please, whoever has the lyrics to that, please quickly distribute the lyrics now. Do you have quickly distribute the lyrics? Make it fast. Just hand it out quickly. And Jack Rockfield, please start the music. Yeah, okay. All right. And this is, we will sing along, and those who can't sing, read it out loud. But here it comes. And if anybody has an extra sheet, give it to me because I don't know the words. Thank you. We will sing the refrain, I think.
They will come. It got disconnected.
That's the wrong one. That we will sing later.
Zeme un veseles, trīs tautu gods un prāts. Bet torņos jau likteņa zvani skan, un jūra bangoties sāk. Trīs māsas no miega
Atmostas Baltijā, Lietuva,
the Baltic Way, but the Soviet troops were still in the Baltics. And so Americans of Baltic descent kept lobbying Congress. And in fact, Congress, the congressional delegation of Connecticut, was extremely helpful. And the congressional delegation in Washington was extremely powerful. We had there Christopher Dodd, and we had there Joe Lieberman. And we also had Rosa DeLauro, who is still there. So, we had around the Balts had a quick reaction group. It was called ELLA, Estonian, Latvian, Lithuanian Alliance of Connecticut. And so in 1991, ELLA recommitted ourselves because we had to keep up. The troops were still in 1991. Were still in the Baltics, so we recommitted ourselves. We said we have to put our commitment in stone, and that is the stone. Here is the stone, and on the stone, it's etched in stone. It says, planted on August 23rd, 1991, by the Estonians, Latvians, and Lithuanians of Connecticut, as a living commitment to the cause of Baltic independence. There it is. It's in stone. And we will continue what we have been doing. Well, our Baltic freedom tree died last year. But we know that freedom waxes and wanes, and freedom needs people to recommit to it, to recommit to freedom, to democracy, to independence. And so we replanted it. And now we will do a ceremonial, a symbolical planting of it by the representatives of our 3 communities, pouring some dirt on our freedom tree. May I ask Jak Rockfeld for the Estonian community? Valdis Winkels for the Latvian community. Valdis Winkels for the Latvian community. And for the Lithuanian community, Diana Norkiene. May our freedom tree remind us that we have to replant our commitment in our hearts as Baltic Americans. And we also must remember that we're doing it in the United States because Russia, the heir of the Soviet Union, continues to be powerful. Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, said the collapse of the Soviet Union was a major geopolitical catastrophe of the century. And he would like nothing better than to go back to the good old days. So today's event is not only just revisiting something historical, but a reminder that the heir to the former Soviet socialist republics is against democracy. And at the moment, it is amazing how much Russia is interfering in the Baltics. It hates that the Baltics are members of the European Union, and especially of NATO. And that Lithuanians, Latvians, Estonians, in fact, will be very strong defenders of NATO. And so Russia, which is in control of all of its media, is preparing all kinds of small films, videos, coming out with the most incredible things. Among the things that they're pushing to the Russian population is that Estonian, Latvians, Lithuanians are the inheritors of Nazism, that they're fascists, and that they're working with NATO to attack Russia. They're doing it today. They're putting out these little films with the most incredible falsified facts. I've seen some of them. They're in Russian, but they were translated. Unbelievable. I mean, outrageous things. But those clips are totally made up. But here we are. Let's keep in touch with what is happening in the Baltics, and let us be the source of news to our American friends about what is happening there. Because, as we know, Russia is busy the world over, and surprisingly, they're developing confrontations of all kinds, including in the U.S., where they work with both sides of demonstrations so that they can sort of spark a confrontation. So let's be aware of that, because oh yes, and I wanted to mention that the Balls of Connecticut are currently working together, not in the political arena, but in a different way. They have developed something that's called BaltNet, the Baltic American New England Network. And I would like to ask its initiator and president to just give us a very few words about this new entity. Dada Gedrimene, please come.
It's really my pleasure to extend congratulations to Baltic community, Lithuanians, Latvians, and Estonians, as we come together to celebrate this historic event by seeing most recent achievements in Baltics, and by having independence and freedom from occupation in these countries. At the same time, we are giving attention to very important events that our history in Baltic states will retain. And we have to keep in memory the tragedy that occurred by memorializing our victims of the Nazis and the Soviets. Yes, we have so many things to remember. Therefore, BaltNet, which is Baltic New England Development Network, as not-for-profit organization established in Connecticut more than 10 years ago, with a main goal to serve as a bridge by connecting countries, resources, developing partnerships, and promoting affiliations or exchange. Each of the Baltic countries has achieved so much during 28 years of independence, and having emerged from Soviet occupation with their national and cultural identities firmly intact, they hit ground running large plans for rebuilding and reconstructing their economies for 21st century. With very clear future goals, we joined European Union in NATO and are productive members since 2008. Therefore now, BaltNet has a special mission to carry to facilitate successful collaboration between parties in New England and Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, to provide resources to educational, cultural, and business institutions in the Baltics and in the New England region in the U.S. BaltNet is committed to increase the visibility of the Baltics and to help others to understand the variety of assets available, including a highly educated force, innovative economic and technology resources, and a rich cultural heritage of 3 Baltic states. BaltNet has achieved a lot of success by promoting academic partnerships with highly prestigious academic institutions in Vilnius, Riga, and Tallinn, and it has many valuable projects in place to make connections between New England, especially Connecticut, and Baltic states even stronger. That's why I really want to invite you to become new members and to send out invitations to you for our upcoming events. At the same time, I have to share with you an extremely sad news that during this summer, we have lost one of very honorable members of BaltNet, Mrs. Vaira Paigle, who was not a replaceable source of knowledge, wisdom, and commitment to the freedom of Latvia and all Baltic states. Please join me for a minute of silence to honor our great member, friend, and outstanding person, Mrs. Vaira Paigle, with a minute of silence. Thank you, and may God bless all of you and Baltic states.
We should also mention that Vaira Paigle was a member of that Ella of Connecticut also, as was Enkoiva, whose son is helping today. So there were some wonderful people that we had, and we continue to have. We will end with gratitude. Gratitude to the U.S. The United States never recognized as legitimate the Soviet Union's takeover of the Baltic states. It never acknowledged that. I mean, never recognized that. It supported the admission of the Baltic states to NATO. And in gratitude, we will end this Baltic Way celebration by singing together, God Bless America. And then anybody who would like to just stay in this Baltic village a bit longer, we can go and have coffee in the restaurant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.